Even when he reads about the... We can say that too if we need to.
It's 5:30. He still has a few minutes. Go to the play. He has a little.
Congratulations. All right, members, it's 5:30. I'd like to call the meeting of the Edinburgh Economic Development Corporation to order. Would you please call the roll, Mr. Garza? Present.
Present. Present.
Dan Diaz,
Present.
Sabrina Walker Hernandez,
Present.
Ronnie Rivera is not here, Richard Gonzalez.
Present.
We have quorum, ma'am.
Great, thank you. Let's all stand and say our Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, members. All right, certification of public notice. Has the notice been on file the required period of time?
Yes, ma'am, we posted the meeting on Friday, March 22nd at 5 p.m.
Okay, great. Disclosure of conflict of interest. I know our counsel is not here, but it's if anyone here has any personal interest or a family member that has an interest in any of the items on the agenda. Do we know of any conflict of interest? No?
None at this time.
None, okay. Public comments. Samantha, Jackie, has anybody signed up for public comment? No? Okay, no public comments. All right, let's get to the agenda items. Agenda item A, consider approval of minutes for the board meeting of February 28, 2024. Has everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes? And if so, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Can I get a second? Second. Okay, all in favor, say aye, or raise your right hand. Motion approved. Okay, the next item is item B, presentation of the financial report ending on January 31st, 2024.
Yes, ma'am. On your financial report, the packet, you have the balance sheet as the first item, which shows our total assets of $51,497,815. That is broken down into cash and cash equivalents of $17.1 million, sales tax receivable of $943,717, net receivables of $3.963,800. Santana net receivables is $10,169,436, and of course we have cash and cash equivalents and restricted assets of $2.36 million, and then investments of almost $17 million. The liabilities are current liabilities of $421,538, and then we have a restricted fund balance for capital projects of $17.5 million, debt service set aside for $3.8 million. Other note receivables include 10.1, which is basically your Santana, and property acquisitions that we set aside for future acquisitions of 4.7 million. Unrestricted cash balance as of January 31st was $14.8 million. If there's no questions on the balance sheet, I'll go on to the budget activity report on the next page. The budget activity report shows that year to date we have $2.4 million in general sales and use tax and interest revenues, which is 21% of our budget. We also have in our administrative expenditures so far $218,000, total programs $187,000 that have been spent, $206,000 in property maintenance and general insurance, $79,600 in economic incentive agreements. We have a little bit in bond fees that we paid so far, Total of expenditures year-to-date of 1.763064. So we've got, so far, more revenues than we need to do expenditures, which is a good thing. The following page has just cash balances, supplementary information as of January 31st, which shows that so far we have unrestricted cash balance as of January 31st of $14.4 million. And then the restricted funds are listed there on your sheet for a total of almost $36 million.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So if this is as of Q1, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we should have expenditures ranging in at about, if we were on track, about 25%,
Actually, it would be 4 months, so it's more like 33%.
33%? And so is that job training programs, is that just because they haven't submitted? Because it's at 0. That was one of the ones that.
Yeah, they had not submitted
They
at that
just haven't
time. Because
submitted
we
it.
just approved that at the 2 meetings ago.
Okay,
And so as of January 31st, that had not been paid out.
okay. That was one that kind of jumped out at me. And then on the insurance, does that mean did the insurance costs go up? General insurance go up?
No, that was insurance for the whole year, so you pay it and then.
They paid it in
Yeah.
advance, okay. Thank you, Raquel.
Yes, ma'am.
Rodell, do you need an approval of this, or is this
No,
just
it's
a
a
presentation?
presentation only, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So we are on track to stay within budget at this point?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Omar. Welcome. All right. Let's talk item C in your packet is the discussion and possible action on participation at ICSC Convention, May 19th through 21st, 2024. I know we're doing it a little different this year because we're sharing a booth with the Rio Grande Valley Partnership. Is that right?
That's correct. So we had set aside and had reserved a booth, as we had last year and in years past, for this coming May. But then when we were in Dallas, everybody started talking about doing a RGV partnership, a regional booth. And actually, it was Dan Diaz's idea, I think. So we're going to give him all the credit for
I knew
that.
you'd be- I knew you'd be
One
happy.
voice.
Well, it does a lot of good things in terms of making us look bigger. So obviously, we're going to have a larger booth because there's more entities involved. And our share of that is $10,000. You have in your packet an itemized listing of some of the expenditures from last year. And so we spent just slightly over $16,000 for a booth last year, whereas now our total commitment for that booth will be $10,000. So that's some savings there. We also took all our personnel over there, but now Rio Grande Valley Partnership is going to have people up front that are going to be greeting the people that are coming in to meet with us. If we have meetings set up, then they'll be the ones, greeting those folks and then bringing them to our table. So we don't have to have as many people at the staff positions going to ICSC. So we're going to have some savings there. And then, so you have savings in travel, you have savings in registration fees and everything like that. So there's going to be some substantial savings, compared to last year.
And it'll free you up for you and a staff member to
To
do
run around,
meetings.
yeah. So we're going to have a table inside the booth to where one of us can be there. Board members who are willing to go can volunteer and man the booth also, or they can come along and we can help set up meetings for them as well. But we also have something different this year that we didn't have last year, and that was retail strategies. So retail strategies is an extension of our staff, if you will. And so they're setting up meetings as well, and they will be meeting with some of the retailers. Even if we're not there, they're still representing us. But if we get enough people, then we can spread those people out.
So, in your opinion, how many of us should plan to go, or who needs to go, who doesn't need to go? We don't want to be there not being effective.
Right.
But at the same time, if we're all needed, then we can make plans.
Typically, 2 to 3 people at the most is the most that I would recommend in any kind of one-on-one meeting. It really kind of depends on how many meetings we set up, but I would say that we can cut our travel budget probably by about half because, no more than about four board members should be going unless you all want to. I mean, you can because it is an experience. If you haven't been there before, obviously, it's a way of learning how the retail sector works, and we'd be glad to have you along, but you don't have to be there because there's a lot of people that are covering like that we didn't have in the past.
Okay. I know the city, y'all are planning on, are all the councilmen going?
I think for the most part, and I know that we're going to have a booth, so we need less people to be there, but if anybody has anyone that they want to reach out to, it's good to go. We've always had a great team and rotation basis. Just because we're in a larger area doesn't mean that we don't want representation there, right? Because we want to be able to bring them there to the meetings. I do know that council wants to go. I will ask Veronica if you can, part of the idea was, hey, have UTRGV there, making the splash with the football. So hopefully we'll get UTRGV involved as well. And like I said, we're going to make some noise because we're going to have a large footprint there and the RGV is going to be there. Last thing we want is for someone to show up and ask for Edinburgh, and since we only took 2 for the table, they're already in a meeting. We want to be able to, talk to them and showcase our city.
So who else is going to be sharing the booth? Do you know?
I'm not sure who the other sponsors are at this point. Come on up.
Come
Hi,
on up, Jackie.
Come on up, Jackie.
The commitments we got at
Jackie is the one that coordinates the ICSC stuff for us. So.
Yeah.
I believe, good
Hi.
afternoon. I believe it's going to be McAllen, Mission, Westaco, and Brownsville, and us, if I'm not mistaken.
So those are the 5 so far.
Yeah, at ICSC in Texas, in Dallas, I should say, it was, I got commitments from Westaco, Alamo, FAR. Donna said they were going to participate also. I don't know if they're all in yet, but.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
the booth will be fairly large then?
Yeah, it's a big booth. It's like, kind of like, I don't know if you guys remember the Buxton booth?
I do.
But it's just like
Yes.
a big, large one.
So it's not, we had a 20 by 10 last year. I think it's going to be 30 by 30 or something like that.
I don't
It's
remember exactly, but
It's
I know
gonna
it
be one
has
of those
pillars.
center ones?
It's a
20 by 30?
Yeah, and it has pillars, and they
Yeah.
said that on the pillars, they want to put like the main things, maybe like SpaceX and
Right.
football, and then have pictures all around it from the different cities. So we're still in the works of putting all that together.
How many tables fit in there, do we know?
There's about like 6 or 7 tables. And each city is gonna have their own section, and each city decides how many people they're going to bring.
And I know they're having a reception as well, the partnership is, and they're asking for sponsorships aside from the cost of the booth, is that right?
Yes.
So how much is the sponsorship?
I think the minimum is 1,500, and then it has like 3 different levels.
So
Get up right now.
the cost, the 10,000 you're paying for the booth will not include
No,
that?
it's a part.
Last year, we did $1,500 for the reception.
Yes.
So it was separate and apart from our expenditures.
Okay. Okay, so do you need, this is just discussion purposes, right? What about on the sponsorship? Do you need approval on that?
If we're doing anything more than $1,000, then yes. If we're doing anything more than $5,000, then it needs to go to city council.
But if we're doing 1,500 like we did last year for the sponsorship, you will
Then
want
you
approval?
guys can take action and give me that authority, or up to 5,000 if you all think that we want to make a bigger splash, we can do that.
Why don't we have a motion then to approve the 1,500, if anybody wants to make that motion?
Ronald, before we go to that, I just have one question. Raul, how many meetings are you trying to set up or planning to set up for this conference?
That all depends on how many retailers are going, how many developers are going. It really kind of, right now, it's too early to tell.
What would be, I guess, a better time to gauge?
By next meeting, we will know exactly how many meetings were lined up already. So by late April, we'll have most of the meetings already working. Last year, I can't recall how many meetings we had, but I would range in the 25 to 30, somewhere in that range.
That's a real good question. In the past, a realtor, Daniel Galvan, used to do a really good job setting up meetings for us.
Yeah.
A retailer or a franchise wanted to move to Edinburgh, and he would set up the meetings. Now, good thing we're going to have our own space. We used to go to his space. But anybody helping us with that? No?
Yes, Retail Strategies is doing
Okay,
that.
they're the ones.
Yes.
Okay. So they should anchor a lot of that stuff since, you know, they have the know in terms of who's looking for what, and do we have the capacity or to even do
Yeah,
it?
they're also creating a lot of them, our marketing collateral that they will be handing out, and they'll be giving us to hand out as well. So they're doing a lot of that work that was being done by others in the
Because
past.
in the past, it was Jersey Mike's, as you remember. Jersey Mike's, we had, there was a few others that came because of that meeting that we set up there. You recall, Dan, there were several?
Yeah, there was several, and your comments kind of made me think of a few things. That first time I went, the USB with all our current numbers, demographics was a big hit. I hope we have something like that. And it made me think of our website. Well, we have our website now, it's got old numbers. I think we need to make sure that's up to par when we go to Vegas, we tell people, go look at our website, we gotta have the current numbers. And what I'll say to the board members is, yeah, Retail Strategies and our staff do a good job of setting up appointments. But I went with specifically trying to target 3 or 4 businesses that I was going after. So think of that if there's a want or desire, right, we hear from all our constituents. And that way, if they're not on the list, then maybe we can reach out to them and like, hey, we're gonna be in Vegas, or if they are there, go meet them personally and try to get them to our city.
The other thing I would ask is, do we know if there's anybody we're going to meet with from a regional standpoint where we're going to have several of the EDCs meet? So let's say it's a larger retailer or a larger company that we would want to bring down, and we want to make a pitch for the Valley to be the place for them to come. Do you know if anybody's working on that?
Again, it's really early right now for meetings to get set up by most of these people. But typically, retailers are site-specific. They're looking at demographics and they're looking at communities. There's not very many retailers at this point that are large retailers that are looking to expand. Most of them are the smaller boxes. Most of them are what I call the quality of life guys, the fast food and the quick service guys. And a lot of them are going to be, you know, the restaurants and the entertainment. And those are the ones that are growing right now. Big box retailers are hard to find right now. There's not a lot of those developments.
Yeah, and
But
I would
nobody's-
just say, when you're talking to your other EDC colleagues, maybe y'all discuss the possibility if there's anybody in particular that we think we could get a meeting with that is larger, that, I mean, there may not be. And so I'm just saying, because in my head, I've thought of a few places that I'd love to see here in the Valley somewhere. And of course, the company's going to decide based on what meets their specifications. But I thought, you know, a lot of times it's great if they see it as one region with a lot of different assets, and they see the overall demographics as opposed to just that of one city.
Well, when we're marketing the region often.
How soon, you said Retail Strategies will put together the marketing materials that we will have. How soon will we get a look at those?
Letty, can you tell me where they're at with that? By next meeting.
Okay, yeah, and I think if we can, as soon as you guys get them, if we can at least get them by email, everybody can start really taking a look at it, because a lot of times if it's right before the meeting, it's kind of tough to really give it a strong look.
I really like Dan's idea about targeting specific retailers and different businesses. Is there a way for us to kind of get a list? I think when you register, you can see who's registered as well, but as far as the entities that are going to be there, is there a way for us to see that ahead of time? So, you know, we can maybe get with you and see if we can try to set up those meetings with kind of the targeted businesses that we would like to maybe sit down with, or that's something that's not possible?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on the company's willingness to meet, but yes, we can start working on those.
A lot of that you should be able to find on their website, and I know they have an app as
Yeah.
well, right? That should list the, yeah,
Of where they're at.
Oh, that's right.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that helps.
We already have that floor plan, you know, in terms of, some of it is still liquid because there's some people that haven't committed to final spot, but some of those companies, we already know who's going to be there. Again, retail has really changed over the last 5-10 years, and there's not as many big boxes that are active. But some of the retailers that you're thinking about, we'll be glad to take a look at them and see if we can set some of those meetings up.
Sounds good.
All right, so with regard to the sponsorship, though, is everybody feeling okay about doing what we did last year for the reception, the 1,500? Can I get a motion then?
I'll make a motion to approve the $1,500 sponsorship.
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye or raise your right hand. Okay, motion approved. All right. Board retreat. So I know, Rodell, you've been doing some exploring into the different people that can facilitate the retreat, and we have a few proposals here. The price on them are very different. So you want to explain a little bit about
Sure.
why y'all are making the recommendation you are?
Sure. So we asked two companies to give us some proposals on actually more than two, but two responded. Two companies responded in terms of strategic planning. And we've talked about strategic planning for about a year now. And the city is working on a comprehensive plan, which is more of a long-term 20-year look at what the city's going to look like in, 2040 or so. But what we need is something that's more of a short-term 3 to 5 year outlook that helps us guide not just our annual program of works, but looking back and looking forward to the next 5 years. And so we asked TIP Strategies, who's out of Austin, and we asked Opportunity Strategies, both to provide us with some information. They're both out of Austin. And to give us an idea of what their services would cost for strategic planning, for board retreat, facilitating, and that type of thing. One is a very well-known large firm that has grown. I've known them for well over 25 years. TIP is a very good reputation. John Roberts, Tom Stellman, John Kraus, so many other people that have been in the economic development world for a long, long time. They've done plans for McAllen, for Brownsville, several other communities throughout the state. Their track record is impeccable. But they're a bit on the pricey side.
More than a bit. I mean,
Yeah.
it was like 195,000, right?
So what they do is almost a comprehensive plan, but for the economic development community. So it's probably more than what we really need. And I did ask them to just give us a prize for facilitating the board retreat and giving us a kind of a push, if you will, towards a strategic plan. And that cost is about $20,000.
From TI,
It's from TIP.
Oh, from
Just
TIP.
for the board retreat
Okay.
portion. For Opportunity Strategies, not only will they do the facilitating in the board retreat, but they will actually produce a short-term strategic plan based on our input, and they will have some meetings, some of them virtual, with stakeholders other than just the board. I mean, they can meet with the council and they can meet with other stakeholders as well, and their price tag is about $20,000 for everything. And so our recommendation is that we use Opportunity Strategies to not only do the board retreat, but also to do the strategic plan.
so the cities, you said the city was hiring someone to do the comprehensive plan, so they're gathering a lot of information. Will that information be available to us to share with the person leading the
Yes.
retreat?
Kendick Keast is the company, the consultants that are working on the city's comprehensive plan as we speak. So we are going to be visiting with them. And we also, right now, Carlos is doing the coordination for all the 2040 committees. We have all that information that can be shared with the consultants that we're going to hire, that I'm recommending, so that they have that information as well. And the city is looking towards us to give them an idea of what we want to do in the short term, and then, they want to know what you think in terms of what the next 20 years are going to look like as well. And so this is our opportunity to do that.
So with TIP, the retreat alone part was going to be the 20,000 of facilitating. The plan part was going to be how much?
Well, it depends on how far you get into it, but a total of about another 175,000.
For the plan?
Yes,
Oh, okay, so that's where the 195 came up.
yes.
Okay.
And the timing on that is, it's going to take 6 to 9 months to get something done.
And the opportunity is going to be 20,000 for both, and it's going to be in what
Short.
period of time?
Within about 90 days. Or was there,
It's hard to turn around a strategic plan in 90 days.
I'm trying to get their timing of the strategic plan.
I think I saw it. Let's see. I did see the timeline. Give me a second. Travel, lodging, meals, fees, climate.
The draft strategic plan will be submitted within 30 business days of the planning session date. So once we have a planning session, within 30 days, we can actually expect the draft of the plan.
So is the planning session separate from the retreat, or you're talking the retreat and then
That's
30
basically
days
the
after?
retreat.
So the retreat?
Yeah.
And then 30 days after, they basically take what we come up with at the retreat and put it into a plan?
And there's a lot of work that's being done before the retreat as well. So, yeah, and that's why I said it's about 90 days.
Riddell, I have a question. Who's doing the comprehensive plan? What's the name of the company for the city?
For the city is Kendick Keast.
Do they do economic strategic planning also?
I believe they do.
So that begs the question, why are we hiring two different firms to do kind of a lot of the same work? Could we not piggyback off with the firm that's doing it now and then have them add an economic portion to the plan?
We might be able to.
Because I'd hate for this plan to be completely opposite of the city's comprehensive
But
plan.
it's not going to be, it can't be.
Well, I'm just saying, if we're using that company, I feel like a lot of the information is going to be the same. Obviously, this is going to be more for economic development, but I'm wondering if we could save money, being that they're already doing the work.
But it should be very different. I mean, the city's paying for a plan for city, for whatever strategies that you guys have.
But that's going to include growth,
Sure.
where the business, where it's going to be steered, the growth, what area is going to be for entertainment, what area is going to be for business, so I feel like they got
I think, though, that, and we want to make sure about this, that whatever Kendick Keast has in terms of work product and that they've developed, that they were willing to share that with whoever we hire, because I realize one's a very comprehensive, large plan.
Will
the
be
other's
done
smaller.
before they are. I mean, if you look at a timeline, the comprehensive plan has months left. We'll
Yeah,
be
but they've
done
already
before they
gathered a
are.
lot of info, right?
And we're talking about a short-term plan, not a 20-year plan.
So for our strategic plan, we're just trying to highlight the top 3 goals for the next 3 to 5 years.
Not 20
For
years.
Yeah, for EDC. And then we will just look at the information that the others provide us to kind of help guide some of those
Exactly.
vision steps, but it does need to be separate.
Yeah. And actually, I mean, I think the 2040 committee's reports will be very instructive for us in trying to figure out what the community wants,
Correct.
where they want to see growth and all that. So I think having that information available to us and to the facilitator will be important.
So, from my experience of 20-something years in this game, a master plan, a comprehensive plan is a long-range outlook.
Okay.
The strategic plan is a little bit shorter. A program of
Right.
work is even shorter. We came up with a program of work this year without a strategic plan and without a comprehensive plan.
I got you.
We did it backwards. So
Right.
what we'd like to do is at least get to the point to where we have a strategic plan that you all are comfortable with and that council is comfortable with as well, because they are part of this process, and they
Right.
will be part of this process. They are invited to the board retreat. They will be invited into the stakeholder meetings.
Yeah, no, I get it.
and that
I was
type
just
of thing.
thinking out loud
So, yeah.
because of the
So,
cost.
But we need something so that we can not only prepare ourselves for next year, which is coming up in the summer, but for the next few years. And it's going to be hand in hand with what the city's comprehensive plan is going to look like.
Right.
It has to.
So your recommendation is for Opportunity Strategies to be the company we hire at the cost of $20,000 to be the facilitator at the retreat and to put together the plan based on the discussion at the retreat?
Yes. And other interactions as well
And
that are,
yeah, they're going to
yeah.
have stakeholder,
Yeah.
they'll do some stakeholder
yeah, they're going to be
interviews
talking to
and so
people
forth.
outside of the retreat, and before the retreat. They'll be sending out information and questionnaires to you all before the retreat as well, so get some feedback.
Okay.
So there's a lot of prep work that's necessary to get to that point. And then aside from that, we're also talking about making sure that they can help us set up potentially a business retention and expansion program. So they've done a lot of that. And so we could do it, but a lot of times when an outside consultant talks to a lot of the local businesses, they'll be a little bit more honest about some of the things that, how they think the city and or EDC are interacting with them. And so they get some honest feedback, and that's very important for us. They also will help us establish metrics, and I know that's important for me, so that y'all can see that we have specific goals and we have some kind of metric that measures those goals and the results.
So with theirs, I don't know if it was in here, but will they create the monitoring plan for the strategic plan?
That's part of the plan, the implementation, and yes,
So they will have, we will walk out of there with like specific dates and who's going to be responsible and.
that's part of
Okay.
part of the strategic plan, correct.
So are y'all comfortable with the recommendation of staff for Opportunity Strategies to start working on a strategic plan and board retreat?
Can I ask something? Who do they currently work? It looks like TIPS is working with McAllen, Bar, Harlingen, Brownsville, Port Isabel. Who has strategic strategies work with or is currently engaged with?
They gave a list of.
They did give a list, I
a
think so,
list
yeah.
in here. Yeah, they worked with San Angelo, Texas Historical.
Yeah, but I'm more
Commission.
focused on Valley.
Oh, Valley.
Do they know us, if you will? TIPS, it looks like is very engaged down here in terms of the community
Yeah.
they're working with.
Correct.
Who's the other one working with?
They haven't worked down here.
So that may be a.
I think TIPS, who did you say the city was going with for their comprehensive plan? Remind me again?
Kendick
Kendick.
East.
Keist.
I think TIPS is more comparable to them and what they do, and that's not what we're looking for. That's why I think you see a lot of Valley people on here, because they went with TIPS for the big 20-year plan. Does that make sense?
Well,
It's
yes
not
and
apples
no.
and apples.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm looking at their the people they work with economic development. And TIPS seems like they've worked with a lot of economic development.
Corporations
And it'll be
here.
interesting to see their plans in terms of what they submitted, because they should be online, right? I mean, we keep talking about people who know us. Seems like TIPS knows us from a Valley perspective versus Opportunity Strategies. Not to say we don't know any, I don't know either one of them.
Yeah, and I don't know where they're from, but what I have
both
learned is
from Austin.
sometimes.
They're both awesome.
Both
They're both out
Austin.
of Austin. Well, one of the contracts we gave a couple years back was a firm out of New York
Yeah, I didn't like that
who
contract.
did not know anything about us.
That's my
They,
point.
they got the contract awarded, and then they turn around and use local people as subs.
Yeah.
So, and, for a fraction of the cost, I just make sure we don't do that again.
Well, and when I looked at it, I thought, wow, when I saw TIPS, but I realized that the work that they do is much more extensive
Comprehensive,
than
yeah.
what we're looking at for this retreat. because I kept thinking, how are the costs so different? Why is 120 versus
Right.
195,000, you know? But I guess it's because of that. And you said that if we want to get both things done, the facilitator plus the plan, that's the cost for TIP. They're not going to do anything smaller than that.
No.
That's their cost.
Yes. And it's a longer process.
Yeah, yeah, it's a 9-month, because it's a comprehensive
It's a
plan, right?
comprehensive, yeah.
So that would have been if the city and us were using the same group and we wanted to have one big one.
Yes.
Okay. Then, well, I think then opportunity strategies based on the recommendation of staff, I'd be willing to take a
So-
motion on that one.
The other things we wanted to talk about was dates and venues.
Okay.
So,
Well,
in terms of venue, we can always have a session here locally. It would be like one Friday well, it would be a full day, one full Friday.
Full day.
And then we could possibly go into maybe a half day on Saturday, and that would basically wrap us up. We could do it off-site. I don't know if that's a big deal or not, Omar. I know that in the past, other communities would do it, but, you know, state statutes might dictate that we have to do open meetings within the city limits. That was my understanding anyway, but, board retreat, any different?
We can take a look at it just to be sure.
Yeah.
But we do have to, it does have to be open, right? I mean,
Yes.
we're going to be recording it, we're going to have the ability, people can actually show up for it if they wanted to,
For
That's-
the retreat?
for the
Yes.
retreat. Okay,
We do have the ability to go into executive session in retreats as well.
okay. And I know you gave us some proposed dates there, starting April 19th, May 16th and 31st, July 1st to 3rd, 15th and 26th. So do you want us to decide now on the date? And then, or do you want us to do first a motion for that company to do?
We can take them each separately,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. So can I get a motion then to approve opportunity strategies at a cost of $20,000 to facilitate and come up with the plan from the retreat?
I make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye, or raise your right hand. Okay, motion approved. And then dates-wise, the dates that are on page 2 of that, starting with April 19th is pretty quick here, but that's a possibility. I think it's a Friday, right?
Yes.
It is a Friday. I'm open, actually, on that Friday. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I am too. Everybody,
I
does
can't
that date?
commit yet to
No.
dates.
No,
I gotta look at them.
okay.
Same,
I can't.
same here.
Okay, they need time to look at the dates and to
Okay.
check calendars and stuff. So because some
We'll
of
get
these,
back to you.
yeah, because some of these dates are pretty quick, I guess that we don't want to wait till the next board meeting to approve a date. We'll just need to, would you need board approval on a date? You don't, right? Okay.
No.
All right,
No.
great. All right, well then get back with us on the dates. All right. Let me go back to my agenda here. Okay. The next item, item E, is consider approval of a resolution authorizing participation in the tax pool investment pools and designating authorized representatives.
So we have our monies right now in Techstar, which is a public investment pool, and the city has most of their funding or funds in TexPool, two different public investment pools. But for simplicity's sake, because Ascension Alonso is one of the investment officers, I am the other, and a lot of times it would be easier if we're all looking at the same paperwork. He's asking us to open up an account or several accounts with TexPool and basically start moving some of those funds over to TexPool. The returns on either one are very similar. We're not going to change the investment policy, the direction. They're both very conservative, and there's not much difference in the yield on either one of those. So, but for simplicity's sake, we should probably be at the same place as the city.
Okay, so, yeah, as you mentioned, there's really not a difference. Is one doing better than the other? at this time?
Again, it would depend on, you know, the specific investments that we choose, but at this point, they're about the same.
Okay. Any discussion?
This resolution, rather, this was drawn up by text pool or by our council?
Alonso gave it to me. It's very standard.
And would we move everything over all at one time, or you would,
No,
no, okay. But this would just give us this would give you the permission to start moving things over?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, if y'all are comfortable with that, so that we have uniformity with what the city is doing, I'll take a motion.
I make a motion.
Okay, the motion is to approve the resolution authorizing us to move investments over from TechStar to
TechStar.
TextPool. Okay.
Second that.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye or raise your right hand. Okay, motion approved. Item F, oh, here we go with the Transit Center. So this is to select a design firm for the development of the drawings. And I know there was a few quotes that were received on that as well. In item F here on your packet.
So we've talked about finding the designer to lay out the office space. This does not include the parking lot design, but we had 3 proposals from 3 designers who all had very good recommendations from a variety of different sources. Milnet, J. Merck, and Alvarado Architects. All 3 proposals are pretty much the same thing in terms of drawing out the construction drawings necessary for us to pull permits and put a bid package together so that we can go out for bids on the finish out for the transit center office space on the first floor. The only difference is really kind of the price. And one is just hungrier than the other ones. So Milnet was also the guys who did the El Tule for us, and so they did a very good job out there, and it's not a very difficult project.
Yeah, it's just basically designing the interior.
And we've already given them kind of a layout of how we wanted our offices to go, so they just have to make sure that it's drawn to code, drawn to ADA and all the different requirements that are out there. But it's not a tough job, and again, our recommendation is that we go with Milnet. Their proposal was for $21,000.
And they were recommended by city?
Yes.
Milnet? Was there anything that stood out in the other 2 proposals that were, you know, where we were going to get more bang for the buck or something?
They're all doing the same thing.
No? Okay.
So there won't be any surprise? There won't be any surprise costs on the Milnet proposal, where they say 21 up front, and then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, hey, by the way, you got to do this for 10,000, and
No.
before you know it, it's ballooning up.
No, again, it's only for the finish out for the office
just-
space, not for the civil work.
That's
on-
just a lawyer in me thinking of all these different contingencies.
Yeah, that's,
no,
in city or municipality talk, it's change orders.
Yeah, exactly.
Out of nowhere, change orders,
not
Well-
for-
no change
But
orders.
typically, that's on the construction side, not on the design side.
That's usually more on the development
There you
side,
go.
the larger,
Yeah, just
larger scale.
never be too careful.
I agree with you.
You must be an attorney.
I must be.
All right, well, can we get a motion to accept the recommendation of staff to retain Milnet?
I motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Raise your right hand. Motion approved. Okay. All right, item G, consider approval of expenditures related to the installation of signage at North Industrial Park. Item G in your packet. This is another one where when you look at them, they kind of all look alike. Who's going to be presenting on
Carlos,
that?
can you come and talk a little bit about it? We did get 3 proposals, and you know, when you really look at the proposals, you look at the signs, they're all basically the same. They all have the same framework. The difference again is on who's the
On
hungriest.
price, it's
So,
amazing
yeah.
the difference.
Hello, Madam Chair and Board. I just want to present the North Industrial Park signage. I know we've been talking about it for the past couple of months, and we were deciding on where we were going to put the property. And finally, with conversations with the Department of Planning as well as our Assistant City Manager, it will be going in our road in a median, so we don't have to acquire any property because it's our own right-of-way. That's one of the locations where we're gonna have it. And we got 3 different proposals, and staff is gonna recommend lion signs, again, for the signs, for the price. They were all recommended by people. I've actually used some of the sign companies before for previous projects, but it's just the price now that's gonna be the factor.
So the height and the width is about the same for all 3?
That is correct, Madam President.
And they're all lighted signs?
That is correct. They are all lighted signs, 28 feet high.
And there's I think in one of them, they had it where you could advertise more companies because they had a division between the two, so you had 2 per line. Is that something that Lion would be willing to do as well?
Yes, after speaking with them in the conversation, the price doesn't change from creating a middle compartment that will separate and create more spaces for tenants. So even though the picture on the image shows only about 10 signs, they can make up to 20 by putting a crease in the middle.
So Carlos, when I see the airport new sign, is that kind of comparable?
The airport sign is a little bit taller, and it's actually a little bit farther.
Okay.
They built it due to TxDOT reasons. They had to build it a little bit farther away.
Okay.
Ours is going to be a little bit closer, and it's going to be lighted.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because the airport's not lit.
What
It's not
size
very
is,
visible.
yeah, what size is the airport sign, do you know?
I believe it's about, I want to say 30 feet. Yeah, 30
This
feet.
one's gonna be how?
28.
One more question. It may not even apply to future goals, but if we wanted to retrofit this sign with LED capability, could you?
We can definitely ask the sign company about that.
For giggles, I would love to know.
Well, with that note, I want to go straight to LED. How much was the American Legion sign, and how tall was that?
Yes, the American Legion sign was about $43,000.
It's small.
How tall is that, and
And
how big?
that one was 13.
13 feet, yeah.
Small.
And
LED changes the price.
just for the record, so Carlos was the chair of the last leadership class, and luckily they agreed to help the American Legion out with a brand-new sign. So I'm just thinking of cost, and I do believe, I wish that was taller and bigger. I'm thinking that because this is one of the northernmost points in the city, I think we need something big. I think we need LED, and I think we could probably get the city also to ante in, so we can also advertise some of our events
It's expensive.
north over there. I'd rather see a large LED sign that we could get the city involved.
I did price it on a LED sign for the Boys and Girls Clubs, and it was over $190,000.
For the LED sign. So this one, on Lion signs, it says 2 sets of 12 LED front-lit channel letters, Edinburgh. And then it says North Industrial Park, Lexington tenant faces per side, 2 to 6 by 16 LED cabinet internally illuminated. So was the whole thing going to be illuminated, where all the names of the different tenants are in there illuminated, or just where it says Edinburgh Economic Development?
It'll be all the names. So the way that it works, they actually do sticker nameplates, and they put it on there so that when the light flashes, you could see it at night. So
And
Okay.
if people change it, they can change them out.
They can change them out. And so what about the cost to maintain the sign? How would do we know what that would be?
that's a good question. We haven't gotten to the cost of the maintenance, but we were doing a plan and finding a strategy to be able to have the businesses and the EDC talk about a maintenance plan.
It's pretty simple. If a LED light goes out, gets replaced.
So I'm just
Lasts
wondering,
5 to 7 years. generally.
Can we charge the tenants to, and then put the money in a kitty so that then we use that for maintenance?
There's not an HOA out there, right? Is there?
No, there isn't.
Yeah.
But we don't have to put anybody's name out there unless we allow
Yeah.
them to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
my idea
that's
was,
another-
my idea was that we would have them pay an annual fee to be on the sign. Something that, when you collectively, we have enough money to put into a pool that can just pay for the maintenance for the sign.
I like that idea.
So the LED, though, that Dan's talking about, is
That's
that's included in the lion sign?
No,
No.
No.
no, that's a
Madam
different animal.
That's,
Okay.
And so,
that's a Spurs game,
Big,
the
big.
Dallas Cowboy Stadium.
Bird Ogden Arena.
Bird
Because,
Ogden
so,
Arena.
so I know initially we were talking about just having a sign so that people knows that's our industrial park. But, you know, as you all know, everyone that's there is already purchased. We don't have any land left there, do we? Or very little, I should say, to be purchased at their,
at the industrial park,
Yeah,
we still do.
We still-
But hopefully by the end of the year, we won't.
right? So it's just gonna, I don't want such a nice sign with a great location to be just, hey, look, this is who's here. I really think we could get the city involved and do something big, advertise EDC, advertise those businesses with their little whatever, right? But also use it as people drive in north into Edinburgh to, say, Texas Cookem, get Chamber, get all our festivals, get everything that
So it'd be
we're,
a digital board,
a
basically?
big, a large LED.
Okay.
I know this is what we started talking about, but now that I'm thinking about it, I think it'd be better
If that's,
served.
if that's the will of the board, then we would have to ask for you all to just take no action on this item, and we'll come back with something
Yeah.
different.
I guess if that's, is that what,
But, yeah, and I just want to open up the
yeah,
discussion.
I think most companies are gonna want their permanent name on there. And I get you on the digital, you can go, how many tenants are out there?
There's about,
Tenants are
14.
only- Okay, so if
14
you
tenants.
split that in half, you get 20. The dominant tenants with more square foot get the bigger spots, obviously. That's just kind of how it goes. So if you do that, you can lower it and you don't have to have it all LED Cowboy Stadium looking thing.
No, I'm
but you
actually
can have-
thinking this sign with a large LED on top.
Yeah, but, and you can keep the Edinburgh and then come back down.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
yes,
Yeah.
board, an example is the Bird Ogden Arena. There are tenant signs with large LED sign.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
so we need, if we wanted something like that, we would need to go back to the table to find out what it would cost to have that big digital board above the sign.
And Lion, they'll work that in there. These three companies will work it in there. That's what they do.
Yeah. None of them perceive that in the quotes we have right now, right? They're all just for the sign. Okay.
That's correct.
And still, there's a huge difference in price between the three.
Is there enough space there, Carlos, for, I mean, what's the, because what you've seen in a lot of cases, industrial parks, they'll start off on the bottom as a monument sign, you know, Edinburgh and then they come up with so you can, instead of having that Edinburgh economic, you can have it on the bottom with what Dan's saying, LED on top and then business
Correct.
names on the, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you can have it and then go up. There's so many options, you just Google and.
Yeah, of course. We can present some options on the next board meeting that can be comparable to the ideas that you all have.
Yeah. Now, the challenge, though, will be maintenance on those type of signs.
Yeah,
Extremely expensive.
That's going to be expensive.
it's expensive, and
That's
you have
the-
to have someone to program them.
Yeah.
And that's really going to be charged to the people that advertise on that, which a lot of them are probably going to be affiliate groups of the city, which aren't going
Chamber,
to want to pay for
city.
that.
Different venues.
Well, let's see what the cost is going to be first.
EDC
So
won't have
when you,
access to it. Come on, man, you know.
when you find the cost, aside from just having the screen, find out what the maintenance is on something like that.
Definitely.
There's a lot of maintenance.
Especially with football coming in, you want, hopefully getting out-of-town people driving down to Edinburgh, that's the first thing they're gonna see coming in. It's gonna be huge.
UTRGV can help.
Welcome to
I think
Edinburgh,
it'd be cool.
home of the Vaqueros.
We're gonna make something out there. Let's
Yeah, that'd be cool.
let's think bigger.
Okay, well then, we won't take any action on this item until we get a better,
But we can give them
Yeah.
instruction to.
Yeah,
Yeah, come back with
Yeah.
those quotes.
Can I ask that you, instead, I know you said you can come back to the next meeting with some options of design, but I wouldn't want you to wait to get our opinion. Can you just send, like, here's what I'm gonna get quoted on? And
Perfect.
then you can send us a couple examples and then go get your quotes.
that's a good idea. That way, in case somebody else has another idea, we don't have
Yeah.
to wait and come back again.
Yes, Madam President.
But remember maintenance costs, so, because that might, that may do us in. All right, so then can we just, do you need a motion to take that action?
No.
No? Okay. All right, well then.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you, Carlos. Okay, item H, discussion and possible action on selection of an engineering firm to assist in the development of a master plan for industrial properties at the airport and authorizing the executive director to engage the selected firm. Okay,
So, for a long time, we've talked about how we need to help the airport develop approximately 600 acres worth of land. And then we've been looking at what the airport and the city are working on in terms of hangar development and that type of thing, and that's mostly happening on the north side of the runways. So everything on the north side of the runway is more aeronautical. We have had some interest in some properties that are on the south side of the runway. And when we started talking to the airport folks about it and looking at master plans, you can't sell unless you have something to sell. And so what we thought was be a good idea, and we did set money aside in our budget to do this, is that we help the airport master plan the south side of the south of the runway, the property south of the runway, so that we could start marketing their properties to industrial users. If they have an aeronautical component, that would be even better. But they have regulations in terms of how they can dispose of property. Airports like to lease land. Leasing land is not necessarily the most favorable thing for developers, but in some instances it works. And for end users, in some instances it works as well. But you still have to have a plan, and then you have to have the funding to make sure that that plan is implemented. So this is step one in a long process of trying to help the airport market its property. First, you have to show what you can make it into, and then once you get that, you have to identify what the costs are going to be, and then where the funding will come from. We can't ask for funding unless we know how much it's going to cost. And so we can chase after all the grants, but we're going to have to start with step one, which is doing the master plan. And so we invited several different proposals, which are in your packet. KSA has already been doing some work with the airport in terms of planning. The other two are outside that we're looking in and are very capable as well. But again, there is a price difference in terms of how much it's going to cost and how much people think that they can do. KSA has a lot of information already because they have done some work in the past with the city. And our recommendation is that we go ahead and engage in the services of KSA. And this is hand in hand with the city and hand in hand with the airport. We're not going to be doing something different than what the airport wants. So this has to go through the advisory board at the airport and then to council as well. But we think that if we're going to get an opportunity to develop that land, we have to show how it can be developed. And so this is what these proposals are all about.
Okay.
so
And even, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Vern.
would the airport board and the airport staff be involved in this master plan? I mean, every
Yes.
meeting we have with them, they would be invited then, because we want to make sure that what we're doing is in line with what,
The development of these proposals was hand in hand with the airport.
okay.
So Carlos has been attending the airport advisory board committees and has let them know what we're doing.
And you said KSA has already done work with the airport, so is that why you think there's a difference in the cost here? I mean,
Well, you know, I was looking at that too. The Pegasus, they don't give a breakdown. They just bottom line the number in in two sentences. And then the Stantec, again, they just say phase 1 and phase 2. And the KSA actually gave detail for each thing that they were gonna do.
Yeah.
Well, and you'll notice that Pegasus and Stantec both had the same guy, right, Sean?
Well, Sean Garrettson started working with Stantec, and I've known Sean for a few years. Actually met him at one of the TEDC conferences not too long ago, and we started talking, and then we reached out to him because we found out that he's done a lot of master planning for the city of Austin and other parts around Austin. But he hooked up and he was working with Stantec. Stantec is a very strong company that has a lot of capabilities in terms of engineering. They're a worldwide company. Pegasus, for whatever reason, Stantec downsized and Sean Garrettson left Stantec, and Pegasus is his consulting company. So he and a couple of partners can do basically what Stantec was doing, and that was his proposal, which is basically a little bit less than Stantec's. But KSA is, again, the one that we're more comfortable with.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only feedback I would offer, Roel, is that, and you use the word, we're gonna help them in terms of become better and do what they're gonna do, but I'm hoping that it's above what they were already gonna do and not a replacement of what they would have done. That make sense?
Yeah.
If they're already gonna do something and we just come in, that didn't benefit nobody. But if it's truly on top of something different that they were not planning on doing, then it's viable.
That's true.
Did they have plans for the south side, or were they really focusing all their efforts on the north?
Most of the airport's plans are related to hangar development on the north side. They've talked about, they have a drainage issue that they need to address, and so that will be taken into consideration in the way the land is laid out, because it does impact the south side of the airport. It's actually the southeast corner of the airport. The scope of the study, if you will, is only a portion of the airport. And there's still some more land over towards the north and the northeast side that we're not going to be looking at. My opinion is that when you're looking at that piece of property, the south side is the one that's more viable for industrial development and even some commercial development along the interstate. And so that's the one that really interested me the most in terms of wanting to do something for the airport. Hangars are, because of the length of the runway and everything that goes along with it, first of all, clear span hangars are very expensive. We're talking tens of millions, if not more, especially for the larger aircraft. The likelihood of that kind of development at our airport is small. So let's work on something that is realistic. And so what's realistic is that there is still a need for more industrial properties. As we've seen, we're running out of land in our industrial park. Before we identify and produce some additional land somewhere else, we have land that is owned by the city right now that needs to do something with it. So why not try to work on developing that property? And so we didn't look at the entire airport.
I get that.
We looked at what they were looking at, and what they were looking at in the past was mostly hangar development for small private aircraft. What we're looking at is, this is an opportunity to bring in some big logistics companies on the south side and do something a little bit different.
And that, they haven't really planned out the south side, to your knowledge?
No.
Okay. And they would be working hand in hand with us on the planning?
Yes.
Okay. So is everyone comfortable with KSA? Okay, then can we get a motion to approve the KSA proposal?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor say aye or raise your right hand. Okay, motion is approved. All right, and got. Okay, so the next items are set for executive session. Can I get a motion to enter into executive session? Okay, moved and Second? Second. Okay, all in favor, say aye, or raise your right hand. Okay. Motion approved. It is 6:34. We're going into executive session.
Sorry about the nod. I was focused. Even program, it's projects. Got it. And I learned how to turn his mic on. I'm dangerous.
Ready? Can I get a motion to, we just came out of executive session to start our meeting again?
So moved.
I'll second.
All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes.
At 7:40.
7:40. Also for the record, at 7:38, Veronica Gonzalez, our president, exited our meeting. Okay, we'll start on agenda item number 1. We need, can I get a motion for approval, the 40 selected flip project businesses?
I'll make a motion to approve.
All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion passes. For projects number 2, 3, 4, and 10 on the agenda item, can I get a motion for approval for staff to proceed as discussed?
So moved.
Second, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion passes. Can I get a motion to adjourn our meeting?
I make the motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor? We are adjourned. Good job, Ro. You're next.
Great job, Ron.
That's okay.